Hello, and welcome to the November 2023 edition of Florida by the Numbers. I'm Sheridan Meek, Senior Research Economist for the Florida Chamber Foundation. This month, we have an exciting update on our Florida 2030 Blueprint mission of growing Florida into a top 10 global economy, as well as more information about the latest metrics that matter to securing Florida's future. 5 years ago, the Florida Chamber Foundation released the Florida 2030 Blueprint, a strategic plan that aimed to unite businesses and community leaders in creating an environment in Florida that fosters economic growth and prosperity, all in efforts to make Florida the 10th largest economy in the world by 2030. According to the latest GDP figures, the metric that is used to measure the size of the economy, Florida has jumped 2 spots on the global stage from 16th to 14th largest economy in the world. Looking closer at this substantial growth in Florida's economy, our GDP, or gross domestic product, is currently $1.44 trillion. That is an increase of 55% since 2018, when the Florida 2030 Blueprint was released. Breaking that down by industry, financial activities, professional and business services, and educational services and healthcare are the largest share of Florida's GDP. When the blueprint was first released, Florida was the 17th largest economy in the world, trailing behind Indonesia. However, over the past 5 years, Florida has surpassed Mexico, Spain, and Indonesia. Florida now looks to ultimately surpass Italy, the current 10th largest economy. Now let's dive further into what's going on in the world's 14th largest economy. Taking a high-level look at Florida's latest economic figures, there have been many changes over the last month. Current labor market statistics were released, as well as updates on the housing market, third quarter tourism figures, and continued success for the higher education system. These metrics and more are tracked on the floridascorecard.org at both the state and the county level. Looking first at Florida's labor market, employment rose above 9.8 million in October. This was an increase of almost 30,000 jobs over the month and nearly 280,000 over the year. While monthly job growth rates give us insight into the economy over a short time period, annual growth rates give us a better picture of the overall trends in the economy. Prior to this month, Florida had seen slowing annual job growth for months. However, employment grew at a faster annual pace in October than in the month before, the first time that this has happened in over a year. Looking at the overall trend since October of 2021, which was when Florida recovered to pre-pandemic employment levels, there's still an overall trend of slowing job growth. Breaking it down by sector, the information sector, which includes jobs in industries such as telecommunications, media products, and broadcasting, was the only sector to see a slight decline. This is consistent with last month, but is still not an indication of an overall trend in the industry, just something to keep an eye on. There has, however, been a trend in the annual industry increases, as the education and health services industry has seen the top growth for the past few months, now at 6.4%. Shifting our focus to unemployment, the number of unemployed Floridians increased by 9,000 from September to October, and the unemployment rate remained the same at 2.8%. This increase in unemployment was also coupled with a slight decline in open jobs, narrowing Florida's gap between available workers and open jobs. Currently, for every 100 jobs needing workers, 78 Floridians are looking for work. Our team has analyzed the open jobs data for the 10 most populous states in the U.S., and we have seen that this challenge is not unique to Florida. Other states, such as North Carolina, are also experiencing a labor shortage, with 76 unemployed people for every 100 open jobs. Some states, like Georgia, see a more balanced labor market. And lastly, New York sees a different labor market challenge, with more unemployed people seeking work than open jobs, 143 job seekers per 100 open jobs. Florida's consumer sentiment measures Floridians' outlook on the economy and has been fluctuating in recent months. Consumer sentiment saw a small, unexpected drop in October. The dip was led by a negative outlook among Floridians about their financial situation now compared to a year ago, as well as negative expectations about the national economy in a year. This drop was unexpected, as Florida's labor market remained consistently strong and overall inflation has slowed down. However, Floridians' outlook on the economy did rise above the national outlook for the first time in months. Looking now at the housing market, for the first time in recent months, both single-family housing starts and sales are up from where they were a year ago. Prior to September, single-family home sales had been below the 2022 levels, although not substantially. The year as a whole has seen a steady slowing in the housing market, continuing the downward trend from the year prior, all in response to high mortgage rates. Prices have not seen the same trend, instead remaining steady or even higher for some months. Visit Florida has released Florida's third quarter tourism statistics, reflecting that we are on track to have another record year for visitation. Quarter 2 of this year saw less visitors than quarter 2 of last year, but tourism has now rebounded over and above not only quarter 3 of last year, but all third quarters on record. The 35.1 million visitors to Florida was primarily led by 32.2 million domestic visitors, which made up over 90% of total visitation. As we approach the end of 2023, we expect it to be another record year for Florida, as we are already up 724,000 visitors from this time last year. Florida has had a top-tier higher education system for years now, reigning as the #1 state for higher education in the country. Florida is praised for the affordability of its post-secondary education. This reflected again in College Board's recently released Trend in College Pricing Report for 2023. Florida remains at the top of the list for cost of four-year institutions. In-state tuition at Florida's four-year institutions is 44% lower than the national average and has seen a 20% decline in inflation-adjusted tuition and fees over the last 5 years. As we near the end of 2023 and look ahead to 2024, I hope you and your management team are registered for Florida's premier annual economic forecasting event, the virtual 2024 Florida Economic Outlook and Job Solutions Summit, coming up on January 25th. In addition to an exclusive 2024 local and national economic forecast, we will explore topics on every business leader's mind, including Florida's workforce shortage, property insurance crisis, income migration, potential impacts of the 2024 election, and other key factors impacting Florida's economy in the way we live and do business. If you are also planning to attend our Florida Transportation, Growth, and Infrastructure Solutions Summit on December 7th, which will focus on securing Florida's infrastructure for continued smart growth and development, please be sure to take advantage of our Virtual Solutions Summit Combo Pass, granting you access to watch both events at almost a $50 savings. The FloridaScorecard.org is updated regularly and continues to track the metrics discussed today, in addition to hundreds of other state and county metrics. The Florida Scorecard and our team's accompanying research and analysis on these metrics are made possible by the leadership of the Florida Chamber Foundation's Community Development Partners. To stay up to date on the metrics that matter to securing the future of Florida as soon as they are released, there are a couple of ways you can stay connected. Follow @FloridaBTN on Twitter, where updated figures and accompanying analysis are tweeted instantly. Also, be sure to check the FloridaScorecard.org on a regular basis. Updated metrics are added as soon as available to help Florida's leaders lead. If you have any questions regarding the topics covered today or the work of the Florida Chamber Foundation, please reach out to me or any member of the Foundation team through the information on the screen. From everyone at the Florida Chamber, thanks for tuning in for another update on the metrics that matter as we work to move Florida to a top 10 global economy by 2030.